cosplay, you're probably gonna need a wig. And chances are, when you're searching for that wig, you came across these. Wigs that are advertised as being the perfect hairdo for the character of your choosing. But are they really? Today we'll be looking at pre-styled cosplay wigs and answer the question that every beginner cosplayer asks. Are they really the one-step solution to get that perfect anime hairdo? Let's find out. But before we get into it, let's define what is a generic cosplay wig versus a pre-styled cosplay wig. So this is the wig that I use for Natalia. I got this from Art of Wigs, and I would consider this to be a generic cosplay wig. A generic cosplay wig, in my opinion, is a wig that is advertised for cosplay, and they can come in a variety of colors and styles. However, they are not marketed to be made for a very specific character. As such, both the color and the styles are gonna be more universal, which means that more responsibility is put on the cosplayer to style the wig to fit their character's needs. Okay, so this is the wig that I use for Ochako from My Hero Academia. I think I got this off of eBay, but I don't remember. I've had this wig for too long. This is what I would consider a pre-style cosplay wig. So this is a wig that is marketed to be for a specific character, and it comes in the color and style for that specific character. And depending on where you get it from, the seller might have included things like accessories, ears, and even like buns. Just to give you another example, my Lulu wig is a pre-styled cosplay wig, and yes, it did come with those ears, which was really nice for me because that was one less thing for me to do. So that sounds like a great deal, right? You get the right color, you get the right hairstyle, you're good to go, right? Well, let's see how this looks when a pre-styled wig is fresh out of the bag. Okay, so the wig we're gonna be using today is this wig, and as you can see from the upside down thing, this is going to be Alba from Dramatical Murder. So this is a pre-style wig that I bought like 7-8 years ago. I bought this before I even moved out to California, so that's how you know how long this has been kind of rotting in my stash. As you can see, it comes with a little wig cap. It comes with this little cardboard thing to protect it, and then it's turned inside out in the netting. Now, I prefer the ones that have the, you know, the stuff in it, but whatever. I'm pretty sure I just bought this on eBay, so we'll see how it is. So, this is the wig fully turned inside out. Let's pop it on fully. Alright, so I have the wig on now. First of all, I think wearing gloss for this was probably a bad idea. Let's start out with the positives, okay? So, first of all, I do like the color. I also do like the fact that it has the gradient dye already in here. That saves me a whole lot of time because I don't particularly like working with dye that much. However, that's kind of where the positives end. For Alba, he's supposed to have like side flips. Side flips where? This is not holding at all. Secondly, and this is very, very common for pre-style wigs, the bangs are way too long. I don't know why every pre-style wig that I have ever bought in my entire life always has bangs that go down to here. Even if the character's bangs do not go down that far. I'm assuming this is for wiggle room for people to cut it to, you know, where it's supposed to land on their face, but it's still annoying. Like, if you're the type of person that was hoping that you could just throw this out of the bag and just go without any styling, you're gonna be disappointed because this is not working. But thirdly, and you're not gonna be able to see this very well on camera, this wig is small. It is very, very small. Like, not even pinned, but as you can see, it's already riding up the back. And if this wasn't so long in the back, it would be way more obvious. So, can you do something with this wig? Yes. And I'm gonna try and salvage this wig to actually make it a decent Alba hair. But first, I'm gonna wash this wig. Okay. Alright, so I went ahead and washed the wig. And as you can see, I've also pinned it to the wig head. I'm gonna try to use the time that it's wet to try to see if I can stretch this wig out just a little bit more, because even though, yes, the styling that I have, it's fine if it's a little bit tight, but if I can get it to be a little bit not tight, that'd be great. Now, at this point, if you're in a gigantic hurry, you can just blow dry this wig and get started styling right away. I, however, am not in a gigantic hurry and I'm really sleepy, so I'm just gonna let this sit overnight and then I will come back to it in the morning. Good night. Okay, so it's been actually 2 days since I worked on this. Don't ask why, just IRL stuff happened. So, as you can see, the wig has fully dried now, and it still kind of looks like a mess, let's be honest. So I think the first thing that I'm gonna do to try to tackle this wig is to first crimp it. Now here's the thing you have to remember when it comes to pre-styled wigs, especially pre-styled wigs that you got from places like eBay, Taobao, like AliExpress, Wish, whatever you guys get your like cheap cosplay wigs from, is that there's no guarantee on how much heat this wig is gonna be able to take. So if you're unsure, put your crimper or your flat iron or whatever on the lowest setting that you can and test it on a section that you don't mind getting messed up. So I'm just gonna pick a section in the back and see how it works. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna keep this on the setting for now and then we'll go from there, just so that I can at least kind of control it, and then that way I don't overload the fibers in case this is all it can take. Be right back. Okay, so I finished crimping the back, or at least the longer part of the back. Now I'm going to tackle this. So I think my plan of attack is I'm going to basically crimp and curl the back at the same time. So from what I can see from the reference pictures that I have, it's kind of like flippy all around. So what I'm gonna try to do, ow, foot, is to basically just as crimping, and then as I'm doing it, I'm just gonna kind of like use my finger to kind of flip it up a little bit. Once it cools down, I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with some hairspray and a blow dryer, okay? See if this works. Okay, so I'm kind of running into another issue with this wig. So if you look kind of closely, you can see the white parts of the wefts peeking out in several locations. So this is one location, and then this one there's another location that's in here somewhere, but I did manage to kind of sort of cover it up by crimping the wefts. So I'm gonna try to hairspray and heat this section down just to cover it. But if that does not work out, I might have to grab a marker, hopefully it's alcohol based, and color it in just so that it doesn't seem too obvious. That's like kind of another downside to these wigs that you get from like eBay and stuff like that. You're not always gonna get a full head of wefts. Okay, so I finished the flips, and I think they turned out pretty good. I'm still kind of getting used to learning how to do this, so yeah. I know in the original reference photo, it's kind of more like a soft flip, but I figured having this kind of more like rigid flip would kind of make it a little bit more, you know, withstanding for all the elements at a con or a photo shoot. However, now I have another problem, so let me see if I can show you guys. Like I said, I had to really sort of stretch out this wig just to kind of at least sort of fit my head. But the problem with that is that it made it so that the wefts on this bottom half are very, very visible. Now, obviously, if you look at it from this angle, you cannot tell, but if you get it really close and at a right angle, you are gonna be able to see it, and that to me is just not good. It's not good at all. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to maybe take
some hair off the bottom or the sides of some of these and then just brush it down to kind of cover up all these bald spots. Because the thing is, I don't have a wig in this color that I can just grab wefts from, nor do I want to necessarily order a packet of wefts to try to hide this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the wefts that's in the wig and try to cover up some of these bald spots. I also noticed that I can kind of see one here too, so I might just hit that with a marker like last time. So yeah, let's get it going.
Okay, so I finished kind of sort of covering the bottom wefts a bit just by like taking a couple of individual like strands of wig hair and then putting it down. But I do notice that I'm still seeing some netting on this section right over here, so I think what I'll do is something a little bit similar, not entirely, just a little similar, where I'll hairspray this down and then just kind of flatten it out a little bit, just so that the curls can get a little bit closer to one another. I don't know, let me just try it out and see what happens. Alright, I think I'm okay with how the back and the sides turn out, so now let's get started on the front. So as you can see, the front needs some work as well. Yeah, so I think what I'll do is, I think the side bang area right here, I think is kind of at the length that I actually want them at. I'll just go ahead and just like kind of crimp it again just to be able to reframe it around my face a little bit better. And then I'm gonna tackle the bangs, because the bangs, as I mentioned before, they are way too long for Alba. And then I'm also gonna try to see if I can fluff up the top a little bit more. I know I kind of like crimped some of it down a bit to cover some bald spots, but I'll see if there's like any little hair that I could do just to like fluff it up a little bit. So yeah, I think that's my game plan, and let's get started. Okay, so I have started getting onto the bangs, so now we gotta tackle the bangs, because this was the area that I think had needed the most modifications from. So, looking at Alba's bangs, it's kind of like that typical anime bang where it's like longer in the middle, right between the nose, right in between the eyes and the nose, and then it's like kind of shorter on the side. Even looking at like the stage version of it, yes, there is a stage version of Dramatical Murder. They actually do like all 5 routes in the game. It is insane. Anyway, yeah, so looking at how they did it for the stage version, they do kind of have a very similar sentiment where it's like, it's slightly longer in the center and then it gets a little bit shorter on the sides. So I'm just gonna try to do this as best I can. Like, I really don't know what else to say. So the way I tend to mark out my bang length is, what I do is this. I will do kind of basically like this. So you can take your index and your thumb, and then you go from your hairline to where you want it to lay, and then you're gonna take that and match that to the top, to the hairline of the wig, to where you want it to stay. So it's gonna be about, looks like it's gonna be about here. And then I'm just gonna use a bobby pin to kind of mark it out. And don't be afraid to take it slow. Like, it's a lot better to cut off too little and then you can kind of chop it down from there than too much and then you're screwed. So, wish me luck. So we got the first half down, now we gotta get the second half down. Okay, so I've since crimped everything out, and I actually kind of like the semi-messiness of the top layer, so I'm probably not gonna do as much trimming, probably just like get anything that's considered like too long from the base layer that I did, I'll do that. And then I'll just sort of lightly, you know, kind of style everything to fit the top, what I did on the bottom, okay? All right, let's do this. So at this point, if you're just doing like standard Alba, I would say you can stop right here. I don't think you need to do any more than this. However, I'm actually doing an alternate version of Alba. I'm doing one of the figurines, and in that figurine, his long hair bit is tied back. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie that back and put a little bow on it, and then I will be done. Yay! Okay, so I have the wig right here, and now we're gonna take it off and see if this is worth it. Yes. Okay. Okay, yeah, I really love how the little flips turned out. Usually I'm kind of scared about how these kind of styles look on me because sometimes when you have like stuff on the side like this, it tends to make my face look wider, but in this version, it's actually not that bad. Hi, Editing Cody here. So actually, after I filmed that, I kind of realized that the wig still kind of needed a bit more fullness. Like if you notice, there was like a lot of weird gaping in between like the top and bottom, and there was some unevenness. So I went ahead and I tried fixing it a little bit. So I do have a couple little extra little flips on this side, and then on this side I tried shortening out a bit, because that was also another thing too. Like the thing that I've had with flips like this is that I have a round face, so when I have like anything going out sideways, I have to be very careful about how far out they go. Otherwise, it could just make my face look even wider. So yeah, I did do a little bit of modifications on the side, and then I trimmed everything a little bit more. That's the little update I did. So when you're watching this, pretend that I did all these. Okay, back to the video. I think I'm going to definitely, when I do the real deal, I'm gonna use some like lash glue to like kind of put these side bangs down. But that's kind of pretty typical for any wig. Let's see how the back looks. I definitely still feel like I'm pulling down the wig to like just cover up the end of my hair, and I definitely gonna need to like shave the back off a bit just so that I can hide my natural hair a little bit more. But what do you guys think? I can't see from this angle. So in conclusion, are pre-styled wigs the one-step solution to getting that perfect anime hairdo? Depends on your expectations. If you're hoping to just pull it out of the bag, throw it on, maybe give it a quick brush and go and do your photo shoot or go to your convention, chances are you're gonna be disappointed if that's what you're looking for. However, that doesn't mean that pre-styled wigs have no value whatsoever. Think about it this way. If I wanted to make this alba wig and I didn't use a pre-styled wig, here are the steps that I would have had to have done just to get it to where I would be cutting and styling it. I would have to buy a base wig. I would also have to buy a packet of wefts to get this. And because of the gradient on here, I would also have to buy a bottle of Rit Dye More. I would then have to go ahead and dye the wefts, sew the wefts into the base wig, and then and only then can I actually start working on the styling. Having this pre-styled wig made it so that I didn't have to do any of that. I only had to focus on cutting and shaping the wig. And if you're a beginner to wig styling, this would actually be helpful for you. I think pre-styled wigs actually are the way to go, at least until you get the hang of how to cut a wig. Are pre-styled cosplay wigs a one-step solution to getting that perfect anime hairdo? No. However, they can be a step that cuts out several other steps to get you to that perfect anime hairdo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any more tips on how to style wigs, leave it in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more cosplay content from me. And if you want to see me do some dancing, check out my dance channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.